I, 28F, had been with Jake, 30M, for 5 years. 5 years. We lived together in an apartment downtown, had a cat named Muffin, and were that couple everyone thought would make it. Spoiler alert, we didn't. It started with the little things. Jake working late. New passwords on his phone. The classic, it's just a work friend, excuses when I'd ask about the woman who kept liking all his Instagram posts. I'm not stupid, but I wanted to believe him, you know? Then came Valentine's Day. Jake had promised me a special dinner at my favorite restaurant, Carmela's. I'd even bought a new dress for the occasion, a black one that I knew he loved. I took the day off work to get my hair and nails done. I was ready to have a perfect night with the man I thought I'd marry someday. 6 p.m. rolled around. No Jake. 7 p.m. Nothing. By 8 p.m., I'd called him 13 times with no answer. I was sitting on our couch in my fancy dress, makeup starting to smudge from the tears. Muffin curled up next to me, the only one who hadn't let me down that night. At 9:37 p.m., yes, I remember the exact time, I got a text. Working late. Rain check. No apology. No explanation. Something inside me snapped. 5 years of doubts crystallized into certainty. I grabbed my keys and drove to his office. The building was mostly dark, just a few lights on various floors. Jake's company occupied the 4th floor. The security guard knew me. I'd brought Jake lunch enough times, and let me up without question. The elevator ride felt like it took forever. When the doors opened, I heard it before I saw anything. Giggling, coming from the conference room. I walked slowly, my heels clicking on the tile floor. The sound echoed in the empty hallway. The conference room door was ajar, spilling a sliver of light into the darkness. I pushed it open. There was Jake, his shirt unbuttoned, with his work friend Melissa on the conference table. Their champagne glasses told me they'd been celebrating something. Maybe the death of our relationship. They didn't notice me at first. I stood there, frozen, taking in the scene like it was happening to someone else. Then Muffin's face on my phone background caught my eye. A reminder of the life waiting at home, and I cleared my throat. Jake jumped like he'd been electrocuted. Amy, what are you? I was just working late. I finished for him, my voice surprisingly steady. Yes, I can see how hard you're working. Melissa scrambled to fix her clothes, her face flushed with either shame or exertion. I couldn't tell which. It's not what it looks like, Jake stammered, using the most cliché line in the cheater's handbook. I laughed. I actually laughed. It was all so pathetic, so predictable. 5 years reduced to this tawdry scene. Save it, I said. I'm leaving. But don't worry, I'll give you time to pack your things. I'll be at Sarah's tonight. Be gone by tomorrow. I turned to leave, but something held me back. This couldn't be it. This couldn't be how our story ended. I deserved more than just walking away quietly. I turned back around, my heart racing. All the anger, pain, and humiliation I'd been swallowing for months rose up inside me like a tidal wave. Jake was still fumbling with his shirt buttons, looking at me with those puppy dog eyes that used to melt my heart. Now they just fueled my rage. Actually, I said, I think we need to talk. Right now. I pulled out a chair and sat down, crossing my legs and adjusting my dress. The dress I'd bought for our special night. I gestured to Melissa. You might want to stay too. This concerns you. Melissa looked uncertainly at Jake, who nodded slightly. She sat down awkwardly, as far from me as the conference table allowed. 5 years. I began, my voice echoing in the quiet room. 5 years I gave you, Jake. Do you know what I could have done with those 5 years? I could have moved to Paris like I always wanted. I could have taken that job in Seattle. I could have dated someone who actually respected me. Jake opened his mouth to speak, but I held up my hand. I'm not finished. Let's recap, shall we? I supported you through law school. I paid more than my share of rent when your first firm went under. I spent Christmas after Christmas with your insufferable mother who still calls me Amy Watts her name, despite knowing me for half a decade. I turned to Melissa. Did he tell you about his mother? No. She's a delight. Makes passive-aggressive comments about my cooking while shoveling seconds onto her plate. Melissa shifted uncomfortably in her seat, looking like she wanted to disappear. And what about the time I nursed you through mono for 3 weeks? I continued, turning back to Jake. Or when I helped you study for the bar exam. Or when I gave up my dream apartment because you thought the commute was too long. I wasn't shouting. That's what made it powerful. My voice was calm, measured, deliberate. I wanted him to feel every word like a knife. But here's the thing, Jake. I didn't do those things because I had to. I did them because I loved you. Because that's what you do when you love someone. You put them first sometimes. You make sacrifices. You support them. I leaned forward. Clearly, that concept is foreign to you. Jake's face had gone from shock to pale. Amy, please. Please what? Please forgive you? Please keep quiet about what a lying, cheating scumbag you are? What exactly are you asking for here, Jake? The silence stretched between us. I could hear Melissa's nervous breathing. You know what hurts the most? I said finally. It's not even the cheating. It's the disrespect. You couldn't even bother to come up with better lies. Working late? On Valentine's Day? That's the best you could do. I stood up slowly. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going home. Yes, home. My name is on the lease too, remember? And I'm going to pack your things. By the time I'm done, they'll be waiting in the hallway. The locks will be changed. Muffin stays with me. Jake's eyes widened. You can't just. I can and I will. And if you try to contest it, I have about 50 text messages from you canceling plans because you were working late that I'm sure your boss would be very interested to see. Speaking of your boss, isn't there a company policy about dating coworkers? I think I remember reading that in the employee handbook when I proofread it for you. Jake's face drained of color completely. Office relationships were strictly forbidden at his firm, a fireable offense. That's what I thought, I said, reading his expression. I turned to Melissa. He told me you were just a work friend. What did he tell you about me? That we were on a break? That I was crazy and controlling? Or did he simply pretend I didn't exist? Melissa looked down at her hands. He said you two were having problems. That you were basically roommates at this point. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Roommates? Is that why we had sex this morning before work? Is that why we were supposed to be celebrating our 5-year anniversary tonight? The look on her face told me everything I needed to know. She hadn't known. At least not the whole truth. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't know. Save it, I said, but with less venom than I directed at Jake. You're not the first woman he's lied to. Jake's head snapped up. What the hell does that mean? It means I know about Cassandra from the coffee shop, and Rebecca from your gym, and that bartender from O'Malley's whose name I never learned. Did you think I was completely oblivious? I just kept hoping you'd stop, that it was a phase, that you'd realize what you had at home. I took a deep breath, steadying myself against the tsunami of emotions threatening to overwhelm me. But you know what? I'm glad this happened. I'm glad I walked in on you two tonight. Because now I can stop making excuses for you. I can stop diminishing myself to accommodate your ego. I can stop pretending that what we have is enough for me. I reached into my purse and pulled out a small velvet box. I found this in your sock drawer last month. I thought you were going to propose on our anniversary. Jake's eyes widened as I placed the ring box on the table. For a few weeks, I actually convinced myself that you were changing, that you were ready to commit. I practiced saying yes in the mirror like some lovesick teenager. I pushed the box toward him. But now I realize it was just another prop in your performance. Another way to keep me hanging on while you did whatever and whoever you wanted. I stood up straight, smoothing down my dress. I deserve better than you, Jake. I deserve someone who doesn't make me feel like I'm constantly auditioning for the role of girlfriend. Someone who doesn't make me feel like I need to check his phone or track his location to know he's being honest with me. I turned to Melissa. And you deserve better too. You deserve someone who doesn't hide you in conference rooms after hours. Someone who's actually available. I walked to the door, pausing with my hand on the handle. Oh, and Jake, your mother called earlier. She wanted to know if we could host Easter this year, because her kitchen is being renovated. I told her we'd love to. You can be the one to tell her about this little development. Jake visibly swallowed. His mother, for all her faults, was fiercely traditional. She'd never forgive him for cheating on me. The thought of her reaction almost made me smile. Good luck with your life, Jake. I hope someday you figure out what you really want. Because it's not me, and it's probably not Melissa either. With that, I walked out, my heels clicking confidently on the tile floor. In the elevator, I finally allowed myself to cry. Not because I'd lost Jake, but because I'd found myself. The woman who walked into that building wasn't the same one who left it. I drove to my best friend Sarah's apartment, mascara running down my cheeks, and rang her doorbell. When she opened the door, I managed a wobbly smile. You're not going to believe the night I've had, I said. Sarah pulled me into a hug. Tell me everything. And I did. Between gulps of wine and bites of the ice cream she immediately brought out, I told her about the conference room, the speech, everything. With each retelling, the story felt less like something that happened to me and more like something I conquered. 2 months later, I signed the lease on a new apartment. Mine alone. Jake tried calling for weeks, but I held firm. Some broken things aren't meant to be fixed. And Muffin? She's curled up next to me right now as I type this, purring contentedly. Turns out, she never really liked Jake anyway.